Welcome to Center Hice Productions. It is February 2nd, 2024. Please hit the likes down in the right-hand corner, the likes and subscribe. I muchly appreciate your support, and thank you to those who are supporting me. We're trying to make a good, honest channel here. Anyway, you weren't going to see me until the Habs got back in action. Well, of course, we knew things could very well transpire at this point in time. And glad to see it did. We had a big trade. It happened a few hours earlier. I'm getting on here a little late. However, I was out, could not get here taping immediately. I did get the news from a cousin, which I was not surprised because after seeing the Lindholm trade yesterday, I actually kind of figured you were going to see this trade very shortly after the Lindholm trade. And I'm very proud that Montreal Canadiens, Kent Hughs, did make the great job he did, pulling the trigger on the trade of getting the Winnipeg Jets, acquire Sean Monohan from Montreal for a 2024 first-round draft pick and a third-round 2027 conditional draft pick, which a lot of people are going to go, oh, we didn't get as much, we didn't take as much. Well, I think he did quite fine, to tell you the truth. I think we're in a situation this blew up in our face last year. This was the trade we wanted done last year and couldn't get it done because Monahan ended up injured. But I think Kent was very wise not to wait till the trade deadline. And you see how the balls get rolling once one team makes the move of strengthening their team. The rest starts to follow. And that's exactly what we have here, because it was really Lindholm and Monahan on the depth charts as the two top centers. And, I don't really care that one got more. I think Kent Hughes did quite well unloading Sean. First, I want to thank Sean Monahan because great character. Thank you, Sean, for everything you put into the leadership you brought to this team and your efforts. You're a great guy, and I hope you succeed wherever in Winnipeg. Mind you, I wouldn't mind seeing you back in Montreal in the summer. If you're still a free agent, as long as the price is right, of course. I don't think we should do that circle, because I think he could very well be looking, this being the final contract that will be coming up, he's probably going to be looking for a big one. And I think that's where it wouldn't make sense for the Habs to go into that. So I do wish him the best in whatever endeavor Sean Monahan goes to. I hope he succeeds and does quite well. He's a deserving type of individual, all heart, and he brought this team a lot of character, and let's hope that they learned a lot from him while we had him. Now, here's the thing I'll go a little deeper in, and I'm going to try to cut this short. I had to redo it because I had too long. So we see with this trade, it's a win-win for the Habs, especially where we have that. We still have the Calgary draft pick, the first rounder for next year. So we only had one for this year. So now we got two. Maybe this is where now we should start tanking. This should help us, and hopefully it'll help us get into the top 5 picks. That's the goal. And maybe with that extra draft pick, I don't care. Do you package it up and get the top draft pick, give them to whoever it is looks like San Jose right now. Do you give them the two, and you probably have a better chance this year than you would have last year with Bedard's situation. You wasn't going to have. But with Sabatini, who knows? Maybe you can make 2 first-round picks in a trade for that and package a defenseman with them. So that's my only thing. I think, this is where Hughes tends to do well, trades before trade deadline. It's what we do with what we get in those trades. We do wonderful in that section. I'm just not convinced that we're utilizing the assets we get when we come out of it and go to the draft. I think the first year Kirby Dach won, we won hands down, other than concerned about his injury situation. Will he be injury prone? Because that could be a problem. However, he definitely was more, and that was a great trade. But So year one, and yet year one, we also, it's, we had a shot at Carter Gauthier, and I think, that was a hard one to bypass for us not to utilize on that one. Um, so that's concerning when we had a chance there. Why we went with Massar instead of Gauthier is I like Massar. Don't get me wrong; his talent level's right there, but does he fit Montreal's system? I'm not really sure because we're so small. That's my concern. And when we could have had Cutter Gauthier, would have fit in perfectly for what the Habs were needing. We need big wingers between him and Musty. Those two guys would have been great pickups, and so I was a little concerned. Really, we same thing with Owen Beck. Love him, but the size is concerning for me. I do, however, see in the future Owen Beck being a great shutdown third line centerman, but I only see him on the third line. It's the same as what worries me. Last year's draft to me was a disaster. Other than Fowler, I just think we blew it for what we gave. We gave away quite a bit. Now, mind you, I guess you kind of had to in order to unload your rent. You almost had to pay for that process. However, I think we gave up an awful lot for Alex Newhook, who is a third line winger. He's not a center. I don't care. They're probably going to place him there now when he gets back. He's not a center. Sorry to say it. And he's no better than a third liner. And that's where I had a problem with that trade. Love Alex Newhook because he is the perfect fit of replacing Paul Byron. But at best, he's a third liner. And that's where I see Owen Beck. So maybe those two will be combined with, like, who knows, maybe with who knows where Messer is going to fall, or someone, or Alonen on the third line, and that could be a shutdown line. But it's not a very big line. That's the problem. That's my issue. You really got to start sizing up. You can't have too many guys small on one line. That's where my concern comes in, and that's the one area I can give Mark Bergevin credit for. And I think we got to look at this. You look at the bulk of the defensemen, other than Barron and Lane Hudson. Those two are the only two that Hughs regime is responsible for, other than Reinbacher. I mean, the jury's out on that yet. And well, it still kind of is on Lane Hudson too. So we'll say those three. But I still am very disappointed that we went that route instead of an offensive. I'm not sold that we made the right choice. Nothing against the kid, although we're starting to see that he's suffering right now. At this point in his season over there, 2 injuries, and it just hasn't gone well. I think they really got to get that kid over from overseas and into Laval, and I think they need to do the same with Hudson and get them over into the Laval system as quick as possible. Although Hudson could be tricky because I'm concerned that with his size, the American Hockey League is a little bit rougher, if anything. More shots are taken at you, so will he thrive there? I'm concerned on that issue. We know he's got the talent, but they may just want to pull him right up to Montreal. I don't know. It's going to be an interesting. There's a lot of big decisions to be made. However, I think in Montreal right now there should be only 4 or 5 guys like Suzuki, Caulfield, Slafkovsky, Gooley, and Jacky. To me, are your untouchables. Everybody else is fair game. Everybody. I mean, we got disasters, and I do want to see a change because I think we'd make a mistake if we don't invest the time and whatever it is needed for Jacky, because it brings a different element, and we need it drastically. So that's why he should be on that untouchable list. And that's bottom dollar with that. I think you got to invest in. And my big beef, like I had on the last tape, is I don't understand how it can be okay for Anderson not to have performed all the time he didn't this year. If he took some bad penalties, and Gallagher was taking a boatload of bad penalties in the third period all year long, and that crazy suspension, which he more than deserved, and hurting us big time. And Matheson's been hurting us too, as talented as he is from the getting points from the defensive end. If you look at his plus minuses, like Amy said from Rocket Sports, she's totally correct. His plus minus is horrible. Horrible. A lot of goals are scored when Mike Matheson's on the ice. Yes, he's a better version of Petrie, but if you get the right offer, you got to take it. And I know there's only him and Savard as veterans. I don't think you got. I mean, if worst case scenario, you go look for a veteran defenseman over the summer. I think for the two of them, you got to take it, and he might bring you in something. But I think as much as his talent is offensively, and I still don't think it's perfect on the power play. Uh, I think he really hurts you defensively, and it shows. And I've got a beef on that because that's where I find Barron very similar. And I think out of the young defensemen, if there was anybody, I would be ready to. And Barron deserves the development too. But however, we got so many coming in that if he can't cure the cough up situation, then instead, and I know Harris could very well be the scapegoat because he's consistent, but he seems down on himself. I hope he's not, because I think at least he's shown us consistency, and I would rather see him stay. And if you had to unload, you'd get some value out of Barron, and especially with the defensemen that are coming up. So I don't know. That's that. There's a long ways to go. It's a big project on that defense, and it's going to have to keep going forward. But I think you have to grab whatever comes forward. If we get more trades offered for some of these players, you got to take it. Will we do anything else before the trade deadline? I don't know. This could be it. I'm glad it's done early. You don't run the risk of Sean Monahan getting injured like he did last year, which this should have been the trade last year. But in saying something like that, anytime we've gathered assets, we kind of wasted them. Like, I think we really paid far too much for a third lines player in Alex Newhook, and I like the kid. Like him a lot. He's fast and he works hard. But do you give up that much? Mind you, I guess you do, to get rid of Drouin. Pretty costly. I just would have let Drouin walk. Anyhow, with that being said, I just want to see, because, like I say, I'm not convinced. This regime has not shown me yet, and they're going to have to, because from here on in, it should be nothing but offense, big wingers, and a major point getter that we should be looking at in Montreal. Defense is done. You got plenty there. We shouldn't be looking at it. I mean, unless you're going to get rid of two of these defensemen and get something good on the offense, and then bring in that guy that's 6'7", 6'8", then fine. That's fine. But you better be getting two of these young guys. Better be reeling you in something substantial on offense. That's the only way you would do it. However, I think we're fine to leave our defense alone and just go after working out, trying to, and maybe this gives us a chance to Sabatini. That would be the most awesome situation that could fall on our lap. Let's pray to God. But I say good job. And Kent always does well in these trades before the trade deadline. It's what he's going to do with the assets at the draft that concerns me. Because to me, like I just told you, uh, Fowler was the only positive I seen of the last year's draft. Last year's draft was very devastating to me. At least we had talent in the year before's draft. It's just size. We heard it. So not convinced on the why we went with smaller players up front instead of bigger guys. That bothered me a bit. But we shall see. Anyway, thank you. Where's the Puck Drop First here at Center Heights Productions. Remember that. Please hit the likes and subscribes. That would mean a lot to me. I muchly appreciate. We really want to get our following up there. And like I say, we don't go out there. And this is exactly why I wait for things to happen. I don't go off my don't. Like, you look at how many podcasts. Oh, it was New York, New York, New York for Monahan. Well, who's got him? The Winnipeg Jets. That's why people need to sit back, stop using clickbait, and just follow stories. It's all stories to get a following. And what's scary is people bite for this, and it's nowhere near the truth of what's transpiring. He ended up, Kevin Cheveldayoff's a very intelligent GM, and that's probably the perfect guy to fit in to give them a good playoff run. So good on Cheveldayoff and good on the Jets, and congratulations to the Jets. And And I definitely thank Sean Monahan because he's a class act, and I hope he succeeds at any endeavor and whatever endeavors he goes through in the future here, because I don't think we can circle back to him because he's probably going to be looking for a big contract with it being his last. Be nice if we could get him for, again, a contract like we had for short term. I would do it in the summer if we circled back that he was still free. I highly doubt that's going to be the case. I think he's going to want a payday. So this could very much be, and probably, we're not in the shoes for a big payday to Monahan. It's wouldn't fit our team where we're at right now in the rebuild. We can't invest that. We got enough problems to get rid of, like Gallagher, Armia, and that we can't seem to unload. Although Armia has been a different player since being in Laval, so I got to commend him. But Brendan Gallagher, yes, he's played better this year, but he's terrible in his own end and his speed, and he always makes errant passes in his own end that usually lead to a goal. So I think we're, between those type of guys, and we're going to probably have to unload Savard. And like I said, if the right offer comes from Matheson, I think you got to take it because get the assets you need, and you can always go out and pick up a veteran in the off season that's half decent. I'm sure you could do that in the off season. So, with that being said, leave your comments. Tell me what you thought. I thought this was a great move. My only concern is we shall see in this up and coming draft whether we'll utilize this asset. Let's hope we do and not waste it this time because we need offense and we need big boys badly on the wings. So, with that being said, thank you for joining me. Leave your comments. Just keep them professional, respectful, and that's all we ask. And go Habs, go. I'm excited about this trade. Glad that Hughs did it early and didn't wait with the risk of injury to Monahan. So this is a very good trade, and let's hope maybe we get a lot of noise and maybe we get 2 or 3 more pieces get moved by the trade deadline. This one had to be done now due to injury purposes because we know Monahan's history and you didn't want to lose the valuability. He's probably the only guy that can bring us a first rounder. So, and then we got their first round from Calgary next year. So that's a bonus. We got a lot for Sean Monahan. Just got to utilize it better in our trades. So thank you for joining me. Go Habs go. I'm excited. And we will catch you in the review of the game that's after the All-Star break because I don't waste my time with the All-Star break. It's an utter waste of time nowadays. Thank you for joining me. God bless.